Most women underestimate how deeply a man can connect to intimacy. We grow up hearing that men are simple, that they only want one thing, that as long as you show up and let it happen, he'll be satisfied. But if you've ever wondered why some encounters are forgettable for him while others lie rent-free in his mind for months, it's because physical pleasure isn't the whole story. If you want to make a man truly love penetration, to crave it with you specifically, to think about the way you feel and the way you make him feel long after the moment ends, you need one technique that changes everything. And it's not a trick from a magazine. It's not about trying to imitate what you've seen online. It's about creating an experience that makes him feel completely absorbed in you. Technique is what I call active surrender with responsive intimacy. This is the art of making your body and your energy speak to his in a way that makes penetration more than just physical. It makes it emotional, even addictive. Here's the truth. A man can be inside a woman and still feel completely disconnected. Physical access does not equal emotional impact. But when he feels like you're not just there, but truly with him, responding to him, feeling him, wanting him, he experiences something entirely different. This is when sex moves from fun to unforgettable. This is when his mind begins to link the experience of penetration not just to pleasure, but to desire, trust, and intimacy. Active surrender is the balance of two energies in responsiveness and vulnerability. Responsiveness is what tells his body and his brain that you are present, that this moment matters to you. It's the small movements of your hips, the subtle way you squeeze around him, the way your hands explore his back, his arms, his neck, every touch, every moan, every tilt of your head communicates, I feel you, I want you, I'm here. And then there's the vulnerability, the surrender. This doesn't mean being passive. Surrender is an energy, a willingness to fully let him in, not just physically realize that, but emotionally. It's the moment he feels you relax into him, that your body is trusting him, that your desire isn't just mechanical, but emotional. That feeling drives him crazy because it's rare. Men have physical experiences all the time, but the encounters they remember are the ones where they feel like they've entered more than just your body. They've entered your world. So how do you combine these energies into the one technique that makes him love penetration? Start with presence. Presence is your superpower. Before he even enters, you set the tone. Breathe. Then look at him like he's the only man alive. Let him see that this isn't a routine or a task. This is desire. This is connection. The moment he feels that everything slows down, the second part of the technique is rhythm. The way you move tells a story. Too many women stay completely still thinking that letting him lead is enough. But when you respond to his rhythm, when you roll your hips in sync with his, when you adjust your movement to meet his energy, he feels it everywhere. It's no longer him doing something to you. It's the two of you creating something together. He feels your body saying yes to him, and that yes is what makes him love the act of being inside you. Vocal energy is the next layer. Men are visual, yes, but they are also deeply auditory when it comes to intimacy. The way you breathe, the way you moan, the way you whisper his name, it floods his mind with confidence and arousal. It tells him he's doing more than giving you pleasure. He's giving you an experience you crave. Simple phrases like, I love that, or you feel so good, or don't stop, are like fuel to his desire. They make him associate penetration not just release, but with emotional reward. He starts to feel chosen, wanted, and admired in that moment. That's how you anchor the experience in his mind. Finally, anticipation seals the connection. Don't give him the same rhythm the entire time. Tease him, change the depth or pace of your movement. Sometimes squeeze around him and then release. Sometimes hold him close, then let him pull back and look at you. These small shifts create electricity. They keep his mind fully locked on you. Realize that he's not thinking of anything else because his body and brain are hypnotized by your energy. This is when he leaves the experience thinking, not just I felt good, I've never felt so connected, so wanted, so alive with someone. That's when penetration becomes more come than sex. That's when he starts to love it, not just as an act, but as a unique experience only you can give him. Then now that you understand the foundation of active surrender and responsive intimacy, let's go deeper into how you make this technique unforgettable. This is where a man starts to not just enjoy penetration, but to associate with the highest level of emotional and physical satisfaction he's ever experienced. Because here's the secret that most women never realizing: for a man to fall in love with penetration, he needs to feel more than just pleasure. He needs to feel alive. He needs to feel like every second with you is a new discovery. And that comes from rhythm, emotional pacing, and creating moments that anchor the experience in his memory. Let's start with rhythm. Rhythm is your language. It's how your body communicates desire, intention, and connection without a single word. If batch 1 was about being present, batch 2 is about playing with that presence. Too many people keep a single rhythm, a repetitive pace that eventually turns into background noise for his senses. But if you want to make him addicted to the feeling of being with you, your rhythm has to evolve. Think of it like a song. A great song doesn't stay on one note. It builds, pauses, teases, drops, there and crescendos. Your body can do the same. When he first enters, you start slow. Let him feel like he's discovering you. Let his senses catch up to the fact that he's inside the woman he desires. Move gently, roll your hips in small circles, tighten around him for a second, then release. Give him the gift of awareness. Men love the moments when they can actually feel you welcoming them, not rushing the act. Once he starts to relax into that, start playing with tempo. Match his rhythm for a few strokes, then slow down unexpectedly. Pull him deeper with hips, maybe whisper, "Don't move," and give a slow grind that makes his whole body react. Contrast, the switch between being in control and letting him lead creates an emotional spike there. Those spikes are what burn memories into his mind. Next comes the emotional pace of sex. This is something almost no one talks about, but it is the difference between sex that's fun and sex that he becomes obsessed with. Emotional pacing is about the story you tell with your energy. Instead of being the same start to finish, you create waves of intensity. Imagine starting slow and sensual, where every breath is heavy and every touch is meaningful. Then, as he starts to get lost in you, you shift gears. Your moans get louder, your movements get more eager. He feels your desire rising. That rise makes his brain release dopamine, oxytocin, and adrenaline. He's not just in bed with you, he's on a journey. And you just, when he thinks he knows coming, you slow it back down. You kiss him deeply, hold him against you, and maybe whisper something like, "I love when you're inside me." That sudden softness after intensity hits him even harder than the fast moments. Why? Because contrast is addictive. It's the push and pull, the teasing and giving, the pattern and surprise that make his brain light up. By controlling the emotional pace of penetration, you're not just giving him pleasure, you're giving him an experience. Here's another key part of this technique: micro movements. Men are usually the ones doing the thrusting, and while that's natural, the women who make penetration unforgettable are the ones who add subtle layers he never saw coming. Micro movements are small, intentional actions that he feels more than sees. It can be the slight squeeze of your inner muscles, the way your hips shift in a circle or figure eight, or the way you arch your back to change the angle. These tiny adjustments can take his pleasure from good to overwhelming because they create new sensations without him having to do anything different. And when you combine micro movements with vocal energy, your soft gaspers, your whispers, it triggers a full sensory immersion. He hears you, he feels you, and he starts to drown in the experience. Now let's talk about psychological anchoring. This is how you make him remember this experience forever. Their physical pleasure fades from memory faster than emotional moments. If you want him thinking about you at work, in the car, or in the shower days later, you need to anchor the experience with something unique. It could be a phrase you whisper at the peak of intimacy, something like, "No one feels like you," or "I love when we're like this." It could be locking eyes at the slowest, deepest moment and letting him see your face in pure pleasure. It could even be the way you suddenly hold his head to your chest and breathe him for a moment of stillness. These are the moments that replay in his mind over and over because they combine physical pleasure with emotional meaning. Remember, making a man love penetration isn't about performing like someone else. It's about creating a connection that no one else gives him. Every shift in rhythm, every pause, every whisper, every subtle movement says, "There, I'm not just here for the act, I'm here for you." And once he feels that you become unforgettable, he doesn't just enjoy sex with you, he craves it. Because his body and mind now associate penetration with an emotional high that only you provide. Now that you've mastered presence, rhythm, micro movements, and psychological anchoring, it's time to take this technique into the phase that truly hypnotizes him. This is where he doesn't just enjoy sex with you. He gets addicted to the feeling of being inside you because you've combined physical pleasure with emotional and psychological depth. This stage is about energy, breathing, and anticipation, the trifecta that takes penetration from enjoyable to unforgettable. Let's start with energy. Energy in intimacy is not something you see, it's something you feel. A man can tell the difference between sex that is just happening and sex that feels alive. He feels it in your touch, in your tension, in the way your body seems to communicate with his. The first step is to become intentional with your energy. Ask yourself in the moment, what am I sending to him through my body? If your energy is distracted or hesitant, he might still feel pleasure, but he won't feel that deep pull. But if your energy is fully tuned in, if your mind and body are saying, "I want you, I feel you, I'm giving myself to you," he will feel it in his bones. This is why eye contact, touch, and small movements matter so much. They're transmitters of energy. Next is breathing, is one of the most underestimated aspects of sexual connection and yet is one of the most powerful tools you have to make him love penetration. When your breath syncs with his, something primal happens. It's like your bodies recognize each other beyond thought. Start by paying attention to how he's breathing. If he's shallow and fast, slow yours down and guide him without words. Slow, deep breaths pull him into your rhythm. They calm him, ground, and create an unspoken intimacy. On the other hand, when you start to breathe heavier, faster, there and more erratically at the right moments, it triggers a surge in his arousal. He feels your excitement and it amplifies his own. Using breath intentionally means you can control the pace of the experience without a single word. Now let's talk about anticipation. Anticipation is what makes the human brain light up. We crave what we can't fully have yet. When you create moments of almost a pause of tease, you make his body and brain ache for you in the best way. Here's how to do it in penetration. Occasionally slow everything down to a crawl. Maybe you stop moving for a second and just hold him deep inside you. Lock eyes, you let him feel your heartbeat, your warmth, your closeness. Maybe you whisper something like, "Stay right there, I want to feel you." That pause, that unexpected stillness, drives him crazy because his whole body is screaming for more. Then when you move again, even just slightly, the sensation feels 10 times more powerful. Alternating between intensity and stillness, giving and withholding, creates a rhythm that makes his mind completely obsessed with you. This is where your earlier micro movements and vocal energy come back in. Imagine this sequence. You're holding him inside you, still and close, and your inner muscles give a soft squeeze. Your hips do a slow, lazy roll. You let out a breathy moan right next to his ear. His brain is now drowning in dopamine and oxytocin. He feels more powerful and addicted all at once. The beauty of this technique is that it's not about doing more. It's about making every small thing mean more. Here's an advanced layering. Use his senses against him in the best way. Men are highly visual and auditory, but they're also sensitive to touch and even smell in intimate moments. Tilt your head so he can smell your hair. Kiss his neck, let your nails lightly trace his shoulders. Every sensory detail becomes a memory anchor. When he's driving days later and suddenly remembers the way you smelled, the way your body squeezed around him, the sound of your voice whispering his name, he'll crave you all over again. This is psychological seduction layered onto physical intimacy. Another powerful move in this phase is guided dominance. Even if he's physically leading, there are moments where you take control with subtle cues. A shift of your hips that changes the angle, a soft hand pressing against his chest to slow him down, a whispered, "Wait," just like that. These small moments make him feel like he's in your world, that you're not just there but orchestrating an experience together. Me secretly crave guidance when it comes from desire, not critique. When you guide him like this, he feels chosen and adored because your body is literally showing him how to please you. And when he sees and feels that he's pleasing you, his emotional connection to penetration skyrockets. Now combine all these layers, your energy saying yes, breath sensing with his, your movements teasing and responding, your voice guiding and affirming, your body creating waves of anticipation and release. When you weave all of this together, you are no longer just having sex, you are creating an experience that hypnotizes him. His body gets addicted to your touch, his mind gets addicted to the emotional high, and his heart begins to link this act with something profound, with her. I feel alive, I feel wanted. There, I feel like no one else exists. This is the point where he's no longer just enjoying penetration. He's falling in love with it, not because it's just physical, but because you've turned it into a full body, full mind, full heart experience. By the time you reach this stage, he's not thinking about anyone else. Realize that he's not thinking about techniques or performance. He's thinking, I never want to stop feeling this. I never want to stop feeling her. We've reached the final phase of this technique, the transformation phase. This is the moment where everything you've built, the presence, the rhythm, the micro movements, the vocal energy, the breathe work, the anticipation comes together to leave him permanent hooked on the feeling of being with you. By now, he's not just enjoying penetration, he's addicted to it because you've turned a simple act into a full sensory, emotional, and psychological experience there. But the way you finish, the way you close the experience is what cements it in his mind as something unforgettable. The first part of this phase is knowing how to escalate to emotional climax, not just physical climax. Physical release is simple for most men. It's quick, it's instinctive, and it can happen without much connection. But emotional climax is rare. There, it's the moment where his body and his mind all feel completely absorbed in you. And when you give him that, he begins to crave it in a way that casual sex can never touch. To reach this, you want to end the experience in a way that's not rushed, not purely mechanical, but deeply intimate. One way to do this is through peak connection moments. As the intensity rises and you feel him getting closer to release, don't speed up into chaos. Instead, pull him into a deeper, slower rhythm for a few strokes. Look into his eyes, touch his face, whisper his name or say something that affirms the moment. I love feeling you like this, or you drive me crazy. These words at the peak of intimacy fuse emotional significance to his physical pleasure. His brain will never forget combination. Another powerful technique is the stillness and squeeze method. At a high point of intensity, hold him deep inside you and stop moving for a second. Use your inner muscles to squeeze gently or in a pulse-like rhythm. This creates an overwhelming sensation for him because his body is expecting movement, and instead he feels the most intimate, enveloping embrace of your body. Combine this with your voin's whispered encouragement, his name, and you trigger a flood of oxytocin and dopamine. That's what transforms pleasure into emotional bonding. Then when you do let movement return, do it with intention. Alternate between slow, deep, connected motions and short, teasing bursts. This unpredictability keeps his nervous system fully alive, so that when he finally reaches release, it's not just physical, it's emotional. His mind locks this moment as something sacred because it wasn't just sex. It was connection, surrender, and desire all in one. The final part of this technique is the afterglow anchor. What happens in the minutes after sex can be as powerful as what happens during it, because this is when his brain decides how to store the memory. If you simply roll away or treat the moment as finished, the intensity fades quickly. But if you extend the emotional intimacy after penetration, you create a lasting imprint that makes him love the entire experience even more. Here's how you do ayat. As soon as the peak passes, pull him close. Wrap your arms or legs around him. Let your body stay connected to his for a moment, even if it's just skin to skin contact. Breathe with him. Run your fingers along his hair, his shoulders, his chest. Maybe whisper that I love being like this with you, or you make me feel so good. Why does this matter so much? Because the male brain connects emotional bonding hormones like oxytocin to skin contact and verbal affirmation. When you give him that after penetration, he's not just remembering the physical act, he's remembering the emotional high. He's leaving the experience with a sense of fulfillment, intimacy, and connection that makes him not only crave sex with you, but crave you. When you combine all these layers, active surrender, responsive intimacy, rhythmic presence, micro movements, vocal energy, breathwork, anticipation, psychological anchoring, peak connection, and afterglow anchoring, you have more than just a sex technique. There, you have an emotional blueprint for making man love penetration in a way that bonds him to you. He won't just think about the act, he'll think about the way you made him feel. Alive, wanted, powerful, and chosen. And that feeling is addictive. It's what makes him compare every other experience to you. Here's the truth most people never talk about. Men may chase variety, but they fall in love with experiences that make them feel something deeper than lust. If you become the woman who gives him that, he will never forget it. He will crave it over and over. Most because it's rare. Most of his life, penetration has been physical. You've just made it emotional. You've made it meaningful. You've made it unforgettable. So let me leave you with this. The one sex technique that makes him love penetration isn't a trick. It's a philosophy. It's about being present, fully responsive, and fully intentional with your body and your energy. It's about turning every stroke, every pause, every breath into a language of connection. Do this and he won't just love sex with you. He'll love you in a way that no one else can replicate. He'll walk through the world thinking, no one makes me feel like she does. And that is the secret to make a man not only love penetration, but bond to the experience for life.